I've become known as the cellular detox and cellular healing doctor. I've been blessed to train doctors around the world, and I just absolutely am passionate about this one phrase: if you fix the cell, you get well. Well, this is a 5-part series that I'm doing on fixing the cell, obviously, to get well. And if you haven't watched the past videos that I've done on this topic, please watch our number 1, our number 2, and this video is in fact our number 3. My 5R's is a roadmap to how you fix the cell and how you detox the cell. And I can tell you, it not only transformed my life and my world, but it's transforming thousands, tens of thousands of people around the world because of the doctors that are trained in these 5R's. So this is something that you need to know. You don't actually have to understand all the science around it, but I want you to understand pieces of it so you understand really why perhaps you're not getting well, why you have a condition that's not responding, why your diet is absolutely spot on, and yet you're still not losing weight, or why these other things that seem to work for people aren't working for you, because these are cellular issues. And you've heard me say this if you've watched and followed my videos. Look, to lose weight today, to have normal hormones today, that's a cellular issue. So these 5R's really give us an answer. Okay, so R3 is restoring cell energy. I'd have to say it's almost the pivotal point of everything that goes wrong with our health. Brain fog, digestion. I can go on even into diseases. There's a place in the cell that we produce energy. It's called the mitochondria. And today we've realized that mitochondrial dysfunction is why people can't lose weight. It's linked to autism, dementia, Alzheimer's, all of these conditions, heart attacks. I could just go on and on. Mitochondrial dysfunction, what does it even mean? That means that where you make energy in your cell is dysfunctioning. And look, our number 2 is critical here. As you'll see, if we don't fix the membrane of the mitochondria in the cell, and again, in biology, remember, that's the powerhouse, that's where you make your energy. And I told you in past video that you can only use 2 things, sugar or fat. And we want to really have the ability in our mitochondria to use sugar or fat. Many people are stuck as sugar burners with the hormonal inability to actually burn fat is energy. So the reason why people struggle to lose weight, and even if you're skinny and can't gain weight, it's still a mitochondrial issue, and you still could be stuck in sugar burning mode, and you actually increase visceral fat, which is more dangerous, and you lose muscle, and you kind of just take on a skinny fat look. Now, that happened to me when I was 6, skinny fat, hated it. Everyone thought I was skinny, but yet for me, I was actually fat in all the wrong places. And obviously I was developing fat in my liver, pancreas, and it was causing other health problems. So whether fat, skinny defines you, this applies to you. But the mitochondria is where the problem is arising. And I talked about how toxins go in and they damage this mitochondrial membrane. And really, the mitochondria is where, or in the cell membrane of the mitochondria is where we actually build and make this energy. So I want to actually share some important concepts with you. And I pulled up some PowerPoints that I want you to see. And my son will make sure that you'll be able to see them on your screen. But there's something that I was training the doctors. I thought, this is something that is so important that the average person needs to understand. When I talk about cell energy, we get the fact, I think most people have heard of this glutathione word, and the fact that you need glutathione to actually get rid of toxins in the cell. So when I say these 5R's are critical for where real detox is, and just to feel normal, this is one of the reasons, or one of the really principles or theories that really back my point. So it's called the Gibbs free energy equation. If you look at this slide here, mitochondrial dysfunction causes a reduction in ATP, which is linked to glutathione deficiency, and that's pretty much the Gibbs free energy equation. So basically, it just simply states that the energy available to do work in the cell is equivalent to the glutathione concentration, because enzymes needed to make glutathione are dependent on ATP, which is cell energy. So bottom line is, look at the arrows. A decrease in cell energy ATP decreases glutathione, which that means increases toxicity and therefore increases inflammation of the cell. Bottom line for you, you don't feel good. You can't think. your digestion doesn't work, and you definitely lose the ability to getting rid of toxins in the cell. Oh, by the way, as those toxins build up, it actually starts in the cell. It starts to turn on genes. Maybe it triggers your thyroid gene, maybe obesity gene, weight loss inability gene, whatever gene it is. Genes can be turned on and triggered via any stress, especially toxins. So increasing the cell energy to basically upregulate, increase glutathione, the body's natural way of getting rid of toxins, and thereby decreasing inflammation is critical. Yet, doctors give people glutathione in the attempts that it's going to get rid of toxins. Well, it doesn't make its way in the cell. So ultimately, one of the best ways to increase the cell's ability to detox and downregulate cell inflammation, again, that's why you don't feel well, is to increase the cellular energy. All right, so if we look at some of the things that we can do, I want to share that with you because there's some things you can just start to do right away, obviously. But if you look at this particular study, just to prove my point otherwise, a decrease in ATP, which is R3, our topic today, there's an increase in inflammation. Just proving my point, and it really is because it decreases that glutathione, which ultimately increases toxins, and that increases inflammation, just to bring it full circle. So R2, we talked about that on the last video. That is basically the cellular membrane. We're regenerating the cell membrane. So this shows R2's effect on R3, which is cell energy, and its effect on R4, which we're going to talk about in the next video, which is inflammation, cellular inflammation. So that R is reducing cellular inflammation. But I want to segue into that by showing you can't reduce cellular inflammation without first increasing the cell energy. And you can't increase cell energy without addressing the cell membrane. See, every R is dependent on each one. Now that's my son there, if you look at that picture, and that was his back that he fractured, should have been dead, should have been paralyzed, thank God he was neither, but there's a whole big story there. But that device that you see down to his left is called a pulse. What that does is it bisects into the cell and it raises the cellular energy by changing what is called membrane potential. It's a biohack. But there's also red light therapy. You see that as one of the cellular biohacks there, called a Juve, which you could pick up one of those for your home for about $300. So it's something that I use almost every day, but it also bisects the cell membrane and can immediately raise through a pathway called cytochrome 450 pathway. It can immediately raise cellular energy. So there's a couple cool little biohack tips for you. But what about fasting? Can fasting raise our cellular energy? Well, if you see there in this PowerPoint, fasting, if you look down in the little blue area, it says mitophagy. What the heck is mitophagy? Well, look at that study. Mitophagy via fasting restores cellular energy according to this study, especially longer fasts, 4 to 10 days, but it also can even happen in 15 to 18 hour fasts. So that means this is something you can add to your week. Fast 15 to 18 hours, a few times a week. I fast 18 hours, basically 6 times a week, really, maybe 7 some weeks. But the bottom line is by adding fasting into your life, you get this mitophagy. What does that mean? That means during a fasting state, autophagy occurs. Autophagy, autophagy, as some pronounce it. And what that means is during a fasting state, the body will literally eat the bad cells before it would touch the good cells, meaning the cells that are malfunctioning, the cells that have bad mitochondria. So we know that this study is showing that in fasting states, the body will take away the bad mitochondria, it will eat them, use them for nutrition, protein. But what does it do? It upregulates a stem cell and it creates new cells, creates new mitochondria with an ability to use fat as energy, with an ability to make energy correctly. So one of the greatest strategies that you can start right now is fasting strategies. Now look, a longer fast, you need supervision. And we have a lot of other strategies. A product that I love and was part of the idea of creating was a product called E, like elephant, N like Nancy, R like Ralph, G like George, eNRG. What it does is basically helps duplicate or make more mitochondria, mitochondrial genesis, if you will. So by making more mitochondria in the cell, we can actually increase the cellular energy. And in it, it also has some products that actually add like wood to the fire. but we also want to make more factories. So it's an amazing product that we use it's part of one of our core cellular products that we like to use. But look, we have many other products that we rotate in to increase the mitochondria and thereby its energy. But the bottom line is this: all of these R's apply to one another. You have to fix the membranes, R number 2. You have to drive up energy, yes, but we also need the cellular energy to downregulate the next video, which is reducing the inflammation. And you'll see R number 5 is reestablishing something called methylation, which plays into our DNA. So remember, if we drop energy, something else happens. I don't know if you're one of those people that becomes sensitive to many things, whether it be foods or even chemicals. Well, cellular energy actually plays into that. The lower cellular energy goes, the more sensitive people become. So that's another problem. So the way we have to address that is, again, increasing cellular energy. But you're going to understand this as I come to the end of this series, that ultimately toxins are at the top. They're at the top of the food chain, so to speak, of, you will not increase cellular energy without dealing with toxins correctly. You will not deal with or fix the regenerate, I should say, to finish the R topic, regenerate the cell membranes if you don't reduce or if you don't get rid of the toxins. The bottom line is this, is it all plays in together, but I'm gonna make the point, is to get rid of toxins, you have to do it at the cellular level. To get rid of toxins, to make a lasting effect, you have to upregulate these cellular pathways that really are how the body gets rid of toxins. Yes, the membrane determines what goes in and what comes out of a cell. It has to be fixed. The energy is critical. Glutathione is how the body naturally gets rid of toxins. So if we don't get the cell energy up, we can't get glutathione up and remove toxins. I think you get the point. Oh, if we don't reduce inflammation of the membranes, we can't get toxins in and out, right? Or I should say out in that case. And nutrients in, can't get toxins out. Well, you see, that's not going to happen unless we deal upstream with the toxins. So you see how this all applies together. So stay tuned for the next video where I give you strategies again on how to reduce inflammation and ultimately reduce the symptoms that we have. Obviously, upregulating cell function and leading to an answer for why you still don't feel well, despite your dietary changes, why you still can't lose weight, despite your dietary changes, how much you exercise, why you can't sleep. All of it plays in to these cellular pathways that most practitioners are actually not addressing correctly. So you are amongst the enlightened at this point. Share the video as always. These messages are very, very important. Let me give you the diet strategy, right? If we increase cellular energy, I talked about already the membranes role in this. Of course, ingesting good quality fats is very, very important. And that's something that you can add to your diet right away. If you didn't watch the last video, I gave the tips on what those fats are. So that applies to this week, even in cellular energy. But also, fasting. So this week's dietary biohack, if you will, is adding even a small fast to your diet, to your weekly diet, I should say, meaning 15 to 18 hours go without food. That just means skipping breakfast every once in a while. Yeah, you can do that. It's pretty easy. Oh, but what if you went a whole day where you went 24 hours, just ate one meal? Well, I recommend that you do that once and even twice a week. Watch what happens to your cellular energy. And by the way, little tip, bad cells don't adapt. When you go 24 hours without eating a couple times a week, you force your cells to adapt. The bad ones with bad mitochondria, they don't adapt. So therefore, they get eaten, they get taken out. And guess what? You develop new, better, stronger ones. I call it mitochondrial fitness. So yes, through fasting strategies, and obviously doing longer fast is super mitochondrial fitness. So adding fasting to your diet is the dietary biohack. Again, whether it's 15, 24 hours, still works. By adding at least one longer fast a year, according to some, decreases cancer by 90 to 95%. So again, why? Because of the autophagy. The body will get rid of the bad cells. They don't adapt And through Mitochondrial Fitness, by squeezing them, pressuring them without eating, the bad ones don't adapt and you make new ones. There it is, Mitochondrial Fitness. Try it, it works. As always, looking out for you, for what's real, that's what I bring you. And what works, I'll see you in the next video.